Alright, hello class. We're going to go ahead and pick up right where we left off. So you received this lecture packet. This is the second page in the lecture packet that you've already been given. The first page is over monomials and moved on to classification of polynomials. We're now going to do the second page of that packet, which looks like this. So go ahead and pull that on out from the last class, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So last class we began introducing polynomials. What we're going to look at now is adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing polynomials. Now for adding and subtracting polynomials, you need to combine like terms. So I can only combine x squareds with other x squareds. I can only combine x terms with other x terms, so on and so forth. And you want to write your answers in standard form. If you look back in your notes from last class, standard form is that descending order. So here we're going to add these two polynomials together. So I can combine x squared with x squared. So 3x squared plus 1x squared is 4x squared. Adding those together. And then I can combine x's with x's. So I could do 11x plus negative 5x. 11 plus negative 5 is going to equal plus 6x. And then I can add 4 plus negative 13. So 4 plus negative 13 is going to be minus 9. And there's the answer. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. We've got 9n cubed, and I can combine that with nothing else. Notice in the other polynomial there is no n cubed, so nothing to combine there. And then I've got negative 4n squared and negative 2n squared being added together, because note the plus sign, they're being added. So negative 4n squared plus negative 2n squared, that's negative 4 plus negative 2, which is negative 6n squared. Alright. And then the next term we can combine is right here. I can combine these two n's. 2n plus 1n is 3n. And then I can combine these minus 10 and plus 7. Minus 10 and plus 7 add together to give you minus 3. Now the next two problems you're going to note are subtraction. So what that means is I'm going to have to subtract or distribute that negative. So I've got 5k cubed minus 2k squared plus 2k. And then distribute that negative, so minus 2k squared minus 2k minus 17. So since we're subtracting that entire quantity, I need to distribute that negative. I want you to take a few brief seconds and really look at that and see that negative being distributed. We're now going to combine like terms, so that's the only k cubed term, so nothing to combine there. No, I've got a minus 2k squared and another minus 2k squared. These two are like terms. So minus 2 combines to minus 4k squared. And then I got plus 2k minus 2k, so plus 2 minus 2. Those are opposites, they cancel out. And then bring the minus 17 down. So I got 5k to the third minus 4k squared minus 17. Looking at the next one, it's another subtraction problem. So what I'm going to do is distribute that negative, as you can see right there. So I got y plus 4y squared minus 3 minus 1. All right, distribute the negative to the first term. Distribute the negative to the second term. That'll be minus 2y squared. Distribute it again. And I really want y'all to pay attention here. I got minus negative 5. Minus negative is the same thing as addition, so plus 5y. And then minus negative y cubed. Look very closely at that. Minus negative y cubed is going to be plus y cubed. Now, when I go to combine these, I like to start with the biggest degree term first, the one with the biggest exponent, which is y cubed. So I'm looking for any y cubes. I only got the 1 at the end. Got that one. And if you want, you can lightly take your pencil and lightly scratch it out once you've taken care of it. It's kind of hard with an ink pen, but you get the idea. So we got the y cubed. Let's look for y squared. I got 4y squared minus 2y squared. So I can combine those two. Plus 4 minus 2 is going to be plus 2y squared. Lightly scratch those out since I got them. Then go on to the y terms. I got 1y up front plus 5y. 1y plus 5y is 6y. I'll lightly scratch those out. And then minus 3 minus 1 combines to minus 4. And there we have it. So let's go ahead and look at this next example with some subtraction. So we want to take 8b squared plus ab minus 2a squared and subtract that first trinomial. So 8b squared plus ab minus 2a squared. And I'm going to subtract everything from here. So again, it's going to be like distributing a negative. So I'll pause here for a moment, let you write this down. So minus negative 10ab minus negative is plus 10ab minus 7a squared minus negative b squared. Minus negative again is like addition. So whenever you subtract, you're basically doing a sign change on everything in there. And then we're going to go ahead and combine those like terms. So I'll give you a moment to write that down. Kind of think about it. Reflect on it. Alright, let's start combining like terms. So I can combine my ABs with my other ABs. So I got 1AB plus 10AB, which is 11AB. I can combine my A squareds. So minus 2A squared minus 7A squared combines to minus 9A squared. And then I can combine my two B squareds. 8B squared plus 1B squared is 9B squared. So I'll give you all a moment to write that down. Think about it. All right. So at this point in time, I want you to take your homework which looks like this, and I want you to practice number 13 for me. I want you to do number 13 for me. So go ahead and pause the video and do number 13. Okay, so hopefully you've tried number 13 on your own. When you distribute that negative, it should look like this. So distributing the negative, I just brought the first one down, so minus 3x cubed. Minus negative 3 is going to be the same thing as plus 3. And then minus 8x to the fourth. And then we're going to start combining like terms. Starting with the biggest degree, which is that fourth power. So I can combine minus 6 and minus 8, x to the fourth, which is going to be negative 14, x to the fourth. And then I can combine these two x cubes. So I got 8x cubed minus 3x cubed, which is going to be 5x cubed. And then plus 3 will combine to plus 6. So that's what your answer should look like. So verify if you got that answer correct. If you got it wrong, make any corrections you need to. We're going to go back to the lecture sheet. Alright, going back to the lecture sheet, let's look at multiplying polynomials. So what we need to do is distribute or FOIL, combine like terms, write answers in standard form. So when I multiply two quantities, I have to distribute. In other words, if I multiply by w, I have to multiply all of these by w. And if I multiply by negative 7, I have to multiply everything by negative 7. So in other words, I got to distribute the w to the first the second, and the third. So if I do that, I got w times w squared, which is w cubed, w times 2w, which is 2w squared. Remember, we're multiplying here, not adding. So w times w is w squared, and then w times 1 is w. Notice I've distributed the w. Now what I need to do is distribute the negative 7. So negative 7 times w squared is minus 7w squared. Negative 7 times 2w is minus 14w. And then negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. Running out of room there. And then combine like terms. So I got my w cubed, nothing to combine with it. I'll lightly scratch it out. I got 2w squared and negative 7w squared. Since we're adding, remember when we're adding and subtracting, you're just adding and subtracting coefficients. You don't change the exponents unless you're multiplying. So 2 minus 7 is going to be negative 5w squared. And then w minus 14w is going to be negative 13w. And then bring down the minus 7. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the next example. Now, things are a little bit crowded here. So what I'm going to do, I got some scrap paper here, so I could write a little bit larger. Is I'm going to go ahead and do number 7 on this sheet of paper here. And you can continue taking notes on the packet. You'll just have to write small. So here we have to distribute again. So I'm going to distribute the 2x to everything. Notice there's two terms here. I got to distribute the two. When I multiply, I got to distribute to everything. So 2x times 4 is going to be 8x. And then 2x times negative 9, 2 times negative 9 is negative 18, x times x is x squared. We have successfully, this is an equal sign by the way up front, we have successfully distributed, sorry about that, the light went off. We have successfully distributed the 2x, now we need to distribute the 1. So multiply by 1 to 4, 1 times 4 is 4. Multiply the 1 to negative 9x, that's minus 9x. We have successfully multiplied these two binomials. Now we need to multiply over here, distribute. So we got a monomial times a binomial here. So we got to distribute the multiplication by negative 2x. Negative 2x times 3x is going to be negative 6x squared. And then negative 2x times 11 is going to be minus 22x. So we have successfully multiplied everything. So at this point in time, we are going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So notice I got x squareds there and there, so I'm going to combine those two. So negative 18x squareds minus 6x squareds is going to be negative 24x squared. Adding those two together. And then when I add them, I like to lightly scratch them out. All right, added those two together. Let's see what's left. This is where you can use your calculator. I got 8x's minus 9x's minus 22x's. So those can all be combined. I like to try and do it all in one step, combining those like terms. So what I can do here is I've got 8 minus 9 minus 22. So I got 8x's minus 9x's minus 22, which is going to be minus 23. So that's how you can use the calculator when combining like terms, if you have a lot of them. So I just combine those three together, and then there's nothing to combine the 4 with, so just bring it down. And there's the answer for number 7. So for number 7, the answer was negative 24x squared minus 23x plus 4. All right, I'm going to go ahead and write down number 8. I'll do it on this separate sheet so I have a little bit more space. Okay, so when I'm multiplying, we can only multiply two things at a time. So this is off to the side example. If I asked you to do 3 times 2 times 5, you wouldn't multiply all three at once. You would multiply 2 at a time. You go, okay, 3 times 2 is 6, bring down the 5. 6 times 5 is 30. That's how you do it. We're going to do the same exact thing here. We're only going to multiply two things at a time. I'm going to start by multiplying these two. And I got to keep it in parentheses because I'll have to distribute additionally. So I got negative 3 times a and negative 3 times 5. So you have to distribute. So that's going to be negative 3a. And then negative 3 times 5 is minus 15. Then bring everything down. I'm just going to multiply one at a time. One pair at a time, I should say. Now I'm going to multiply these two. This is where I got to FOIL. So distribute the negative 3. So that gives me negative 3a times a, which is negative 3a squared. And then I want you to do negative 3a times negative 2, making sure to distribute that negative 3a everywhere. Negative 3a times negative 2 is going to be plus 6a, because negative times negative is positive. We have successfully distributed the negative 3a to everything. Now distribute the negative 15. So negative 15 times a is minus 15a. And then negative 15 times negative 2 is going to be plus 30. And we're not done yet. We still need to multiply all of that by a plus 8. Now before we proceed, we can simplify these. We can combine these two. 6a minus 15a. We can go ahead and combine that to minus 9a plus 30 times a plus a. Or a plus 8, sorry. That's an 8 right there. And then go ahead and distribute. So we got to distribute the negative 3a squared to everything. So negative 3a squared times a. So we've got to distribute that multiplication to all terms in the other factor. Negative 3a squared times a is going to be negative 3a cubed. The negative 3a squared times 8 is going to be negative 24a squared. That's 3 times 8 is 24. We've successfully distributed the 3a squared. Now let's distribute the negative 9a. So negative 9a times a is negative 9a squared. Negative 9 times 8 is going to be negative 72a. We now distribute the negative 9a everywhere. Now distribute the 30 to everything. 30 times a is 30a, and then 30 times 8. It's getting kind of big, so I'm going to use a calculator. 30 times 8, 240. I'll give you all a moment to write that down. Alright, so let's combine like terms. There's no other a cubes to combine this with. So, take care of that. I got minus 24a squared and minus 9a squared. Those will combine to minus, let's see here, if you're not sure, use the calculator. So I got negative 24 minus 9, adding those two together. It's negative 33 a squared. And then I got these two a's. I got 30a and negative 72a being added together. So negative 72 plus 30. So you can use your calculator to help you combine like terms, just adding coefficients together. It's minus 42. And then bring the 240 down. So you can see that was definitely a longer problem. Just a lot of steps of multiplication over and over and over again. I have no idea how you would fit that into that tiny little square on the lecture packet. Yeah, it'll work on a separate sheet of paper. So, if you were to multiply all these, the answer you would get here is negative 3a cubed minus 33a squared minus 42a plus 240. Number 9, I don't know if I could fit it in the square, so again, I'm going to go to a sheet of paper, separate sheet of paper, which I encourage you to do as well, if need be. Alright, so we can't distribute an exponent over addition. That's not how exponents work. We really need to think about what cubing means. To cube something means to multiply by itself 3 times. So I have 2c plus 5d times 2c plus 5d times 2c plus 5d. So we're going to have to multiply at least twice, because that's what cubing means. It means times itself 3 times. Let's go ahead and multiply the first two. So I'm going to have to FOIL it out, just distribute. I got 2c times 2c, 2c times 5d. I'm distributing that 2c to all terms in the other factor. So 2c times 2c is 4c squared. And then 2 times 5 is 10. c times d is CD. I have successfully distributed the 2c to every term of the second factor. Now distribute the 5d. 5d times 2c is 10cd. 5 times 5 is 25, and then d squared. So I have successfully multiplied the first two, but I'm not done with the multiplication. Since I'm not done, I'm going to have to put that in parentheses, multiply again. Now, before I distribute one last time, I can combine these like terms. So let's go to do that first. So 4c squared, 10 plus 10 CDs is 20 CDs. And then start distributing. So I'll give you a moment to write that down. So go ahead and write that down. And now we're going to distribute. We're going to distribute the 4c squared here, there. So we're going to distribute that 4c squared to both terms in the other factor. Let's go ahead and multiply 4c squared times 2c. 4 times 2 is 8. C squared times c is c cubed. Now distribute to the next term. 4 times 5 is 20. and then I got c squared times d. But you take a moment, go ahead and look at that, analyze it, contemplate it, stew on it, and then we go to the next one. So check on the first term, now distribute the next one. Distribute, distribute. So 20 times 2 will be 40. And then c times c is c squared, and we also got the d there. And then 20 times 5, let's think about that, 20 times 5, that'll be 100. And then I got c times nothing else, and then d times d is d squared. We're almost done, I promise. Now distribute the 25d squared. So 25d squared times 2c, so 25 times 2 is 50. Then I got d squared times c. And finally, a sigh of relief, we're at the last one. 25d squared times 5d. So 25 times 5 is 125. And then d squared times d is going to be d cubed. Almost running out of paper there. And now we're just going to combine any like terms. So I'm going to combine any 8c squareds with other 8c squareds. Notice that's the only one. So just bring it down. I like to lightly scratch it out. And then I can combine c squared d's with other c squared d's. So notice those are both a c squared d. So I can add those together. So 20 plus 40 is 60 c squared d. I like to lightly scratch them out. And then I can combine the next two. (100 plus 50 d squared c). Notice here I got the d is squared and the c is single. I can combine those. That would be 150 c d squared. And then just bring the 125d cubed down. And there we have it. There is our video. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the lecture there. So here's what I want you guys to do for the remainder of the class period. I want you to work on this assignment. Here's your goal for the assignment. I want you to have problem 1 through 18 done by Thursday. I'll say that again. I want you to have problems 1 through 18 done by Thursday. 1 through 12 are over what we covered last week, so that's old material from last week. 13 through 18 are over what we covered today. So 15, 16, 17, 18, that's all multiplication. 13, 14 is combining like terms. So I want you to spend the rest of the class period working on problems 1 through 18. Anything you don't finish up to 18, I want you to do at home. Do not worry about 19 and 20 yet. We'll talk about those on Thursday. But other than that, have a wonderful day, and I look forward to working with you later this week.